It's 12:02. I want to honor our schedule. So welcome to Boost Your Job Search with AI. And happy Valentine's Day once again. Please continue to post your LinkedIn profiles and your location if you're interested in connecting with the other participants in this group. We had almost 60 people registering for this event, which excites me quite a bit. But some of them, because it's Valentine's Day, minded saying that they were going to watch the recording instead. With plans with spouses, and dates and whatnot, friends. So I'm not sure if all of them are going to be able to join, and appreciate the fact that you're joining us today. So I am Nina Hirota, an HR leader, educator, and AI enthusiast almost to a fault, and co-founder of Global Synergy Partner Solutions. I have been fortunate, very fortunate, to develop a global career with Fortune 500 organizations with a market cap of up to $100 billion, workforces of up to 260,000 employees, and operations in over 180 countries. And I sincerely believe that I've come this far thanks to three things. The first one, being very deliberate and almost obsessive about the goals that I set for myself. And they kind of become the North Star that I set for myself for a certain period. And as I go evolving with it, I keep raising the bar for myself. It's almost like the never-ending mission, but uh, I find it a great way to ensure that I remain active and moving. Uh, the second thing is developing lasting relationships. I had mentors for over 30 years who today uh, remain big advocates and supporters. And I am a firm believer that in the age of AI, relationships are going to become even more important as we evolve, and in particular as it relates to today's topic, which is the job search. And then there's the learning component. I seek learning through experiences, through studies, and through other connections, through the lessons that others uh, get through their own experiences. So I tend to seek learning in everything I do. And quite frankly, it's just amazing because this is a phenomenal time to learn from just everybody and probably every experience in the job market today. Okay. Uh, I founded GSPS with the conviction that the rapid evolution of technology will continue to accelerate organizational transformation or evolution, demanding innovative approaches to workforce management. And it is through uh, GSPS that I offer a program called AI for HR Mastery, designed for HR professionals at all levels, with the intent of helping them meet the evolving demands of artificial intelligence in our field. I put myself in it as a practitioner for over 20 years. And in this workshop, our participants explore things like effective prompting, the elements of effective prompts and frameworks, HR-specific use cases, and tools that help them become more efficient and strategic as business partners and collaborators in the business. Okay, they also gain hands-on experience in building their own chatbots, and which positions them to prepare for 2025, which many anticipate will be the year of AI agents. Okay. But our expertise extends beyond AI, and we are always eager to collaborate with our clients and its expanded network of associates, looking into meaningful ways to address their unique challenges as their businesses are evolving altogether. So please keep us in mind if you have specific needs in any of the areas that you see on this slide. Okay. So I want to say first and foremost, before I jump to the content, today's attendees are a phenomenal mix, ranging from seasoned professionals and across industries, by the way, to graduate students in the early stages of their careers who are uh, contemplating where to pursue an internship in the market as it is. And their interests are quite broad as well. They span from just curiosity about how AI can support career development all the way to actively seeking new opportunities. And as you know, this webinar is a fundraiser. All of the proceeds will be donated to the California Wildlife Relief Fund. And I am really thrilled to share that we successfully raised $525 thanks to your participation. So thank you all for your generosity and participation. So let's talk about our conversation today, and we have plenty of topics. I am going to start by briefly talking about the evolving job market. And then we are going to jump to privacy, how to safely use your information in job applications, and then moving to resume optimization with AI-powered strategies, effective company research, interview preparation, and we're going to spend a few minutes talking about how to evaluate relocation opportunities. I frequently observe people saying, wait a minute, I had said that I would be relocatable nationwide, but I didn't stop to contemplate what the implications would be from a perspective of cost of living, the local job market, housing. Okay, so that is the point when it comes to relocation opportunities more specifically. And then we'll discuss interview coaching, additional AI tools to boost your job search effectiveness. And I wouldn't be the Nina that I know if I didn't talk about minding the human element. Okay, AI is fantastic. It's improving our effectiveness, but most importantly, we need to remember that the human component and especially in job search will become even more important. So that's the plan. And before we jump to the content, you may notice me occasionally turning my head. So basically, I'm using dual monitors, and I have my slides on this side, and I'm looking at you on this other monitor. So just know that I'm paying close attention, not just to your comments, but to your questions. Okay. And speaking of questions, I left them to the end because I want to make sure that, as you can see, we have lots of content to cover. I want to make sure that I honor what I promised. Okay. Very well. And the just last thing before we move forward, the session is being recorded, and I will not only share the link to the recording, but also a condensed version of this presentation. Very well. So let's get started. The evolving job market. Wow. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, in the past 2 to 3 years, all of the geopolitical issues we've been observing, uh, in elections in particular, influencing everything that's happening around us, and technology, are fundamentally altering the job market and raising questions about employment stability, evolving jobs, and the very unique job market today, and whether there are still long-term opportunities or job security even. And the simple fact is that AI, or the anticipation of the impacts of AI even, has been influencing the job market for the past 2 years in particular, especially since the launch of the large language models that are made available to the public, like ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, and other tools, and which are generating tectonic shifts that some are feeling more than others, but which has been especially impacting knowledge workers and the white-collar jobs, okay? McKinsey released a report about the future of work, indicating that AI will automate many jobs, but at the same time, there's tremendous potential to create a net increase of jobs, not just in the US, but globally. And we really look forward to that point in time. Right now, my sense is that we are still observing industries transforming. They are gaining greater efficiency through technology. However, that in turn is producing job displacement, demand for different skill sets for many, many jobs. So it's an interesting transition, or I would call it liminal space, where we are still seeing things evolving and transforming altogether. But what you see altogether there is change on steroids, essentially. And navigating this shift requires a very nuanced understanding of how AI is influencing the industries, the roles, and the skills that we have in our toolbox or in our experience portfolio to reflect about, okay, what still applies, and how do I stay ahead of the curve? How is my role being transformed by technology, and how should I adapt all along? Okay, and stay ahead of the curve, obviously. And just to give you an example of what I mean with transformation, right? This is not real data; it's just a mock P&L statement. Okay, so something that I used to do in my corporate roles was before meeting executives, or every time the finance would release a new annual report, quarterly report, or a P&L statement like this, I would spend some time analyzing that information and then stop to reflect, okay, what are the changes in HR? What are the implications to the workforce, and how could I proactively manage any of the ramifications of this overall financial situation in my organization? And to give you a very simple example of what I mean, I'm going to take the screenshot of this P&L statement, leveraging Claude. You can see that it already loaded it, okay? And I'm going to ask it, bear with me a sec, I'm going to just copy paste the prompt. I think it's going to be easier. So my prompt is analyze this financial statement and in simple terms, point out any interesting trends or changes in the numbers through the year, explaining their possible reasons, explain how this financial situation might affect the workforce in the next 12 months, and suggest specific ways the HR department could help improve the company's bottom line. These would be typical reflections that would require time or my investment of time to understand where we were headed and how HR, my function, would be impacted and be able to influence the process. As you can see here, the hours that I would spend doing that are now done in seconds by AI, right? So just so you have a sense of what of the quality of the output it produced, okay? So it's analyzing the data on that P&L statements, and it's reading that, it correctly reading that there's a revenue decline, there's margin pressure, cost structure issues, And now it's transitioning to part two of my prompt saying, hey, what are the implications for HR and what could you be doing to more proactively contribute to this situation? So strategic workforce planning, for instance, declining revenue may suggest potential headcount optimization needs. Skills assessments, developing staffing models to better align the workforce, or design targeted incentive programs linking compensation to margin improvements. Implement cross-training programs to increase workforce flexibility, or even implement smart automation of some processes, develop change management programs, and on and on. So you can see that the list is quite comprehensive. And then I could continue to iterate with AI to dive deeper into some of these steps. But up until very recently, I would spend hours not just reflecting about the financial health of the organization in a situation like this, but also evolve with any of these strategies to then support the business as it is in the situation that it is. So with that, simple example, but it reflecting about how technology is evolving and impacting the job search and my role specifically has been a great part in an exercise that I conduct probably daily these days because of the speed in which AI has been evolving. Okay. Now, interestingly, while context, role, and employment terms are evolving, the three main strategies for securing a new job remain the same. So we continue to connect with recruiters, and here we are talking about internal recruiters, recruiters who are internal to the organizations we are targeting, as well as those external recruiters who can be agencies, executive search firms, basically party recruitment that would partner with the organizations. Then networking, more important than ever. So, and this could be a wide range of connections, starting from family and friends to alumni associations. The other day, somebody was saying that they got a job lead just standing in line to pay at Walmart, which I found so funny. But the line was long. They started chatting, and next thing the person discovered was that the person in front of them worked for the company that she was targeting. How's that, right? So you could meet interesting people in a variety of forms. So there's networking, and finally applying online through company sites or job boards. Now, each of these job search strategies, which should be used in combination for greater effectiveness, they come with their own set of challenges because we are navigating an increasingly complex environment, and the challenges are indeed mounting. So, for instance, when it comes to connecting with recruiters, there's the issue with misaligned opportunities. By that, I mean with so many talented professionals in the market today, recruiters are being more and more demanding. And if they have 10 requirements, they will look for candidates who actually match every 10 of them. Okay. And sometimes leaving phenomenal talent unrevised or not included in the process for just minor differences in terms of alignment between experience and the opportunities. And we need to keep in mind that recruiters will also have limited decision making in the process. They are the conduit between candidates and hiring managers or hiring organizations, and that they can influence certainly, but there's a limit to their influence in that process. Finally, there's the challenge of communication, meaning feedback, right? Even if you're working with executive search firms, sometimes you don't get enough feedback. You don't know why it is that they decided to move forward with somebody else. And that's reality today. Okay. Now, when it comes to networking, uh, which is fantastic, and I started this conversation indicating that it's a great strategy to even uncover jobs that are not posted. But networking takes time. So casting too wide a net might dilute your effectiveness in ensuring that you have stronger connections with a smaller group that actually knows and supports you. So there are trade-offs there. Then there are those who are uncomfortable reaching out to people they know and to people they know and potentially reaching, especially when connections are cold, reach out at a moment in which they are actually asking for favors after such a long time not being in touch. The other interesting challenge that I'm hearing more and more about are people who are inside organizations and receiving recurring requests to to introduce candidates internally or to provide their perspective, the insider perspective about the organization. Well, their time's as valuable as anyone's. And I've heard people say, you know what, I'm not so sure I would be willing. With so many requests, I'm not so sure that I would be willing to introduce people who I don't know so well internally, because that could be, if the person fails, that could be associated with my personal reputation. It could harm my personal reputation. So something to consider as well. Okay. And then the perception of favoritism. Let's imagine I'm personal friends with Jonathan here, and I highly recommend him for a position. And internally, thank you, Jonathan. And internally, people might say, "Oh, you're doing this just because you're friends, but is Jonathan really somebody, the right person for this job?" Right? So those are increasing concerns when it comes to networking and helping with leads in the moment that we're living today. And then applying online has its challenges on its own because it's high competition. Recruiters and companies are being inundated with applications. There's candidates complain a lot about the filters in applicant tracking systems and feel that the process is not only very impersonal, but there's zero feedback. All you hear from the company is thank you for applying, and then another email, thank you, but no thank you. We're moving forward with somebody else. So challenges that are only mounting. So, well, today we're going to talk about how AI can help you in these three dimensions as well. So when it comes to connecting with recruiters, I'm going to be talking about how you can leverage AI to refine your research about company information, how you can practice for your interviews. When it comes to networking, how you can manage your relations, leveraging AI tools, and share your networks. And then when it comes to online applications, job listing extractions, and job application automation. Okay? Very well. So let me start with privacy and the safe use of AI in job applications. I'm going to give you this in my handout, but just so you know, every one of these AI tools will have specific ways and steps through which you can ensure the model or the AI is not leveraging the data that you're sharing to train their model. Okay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this on ChatGPT, but I will say that if your information, your resume is on LinkedIn and is already out there, you're not going to be completely safe there. And you have to think about whether you really want it published or not. Okay, but having said that, what you can do is actually two ways. You could go, oops, sorry, click too fast. You could go to settings and then data controls. And the first option that you have there in ChatGPT is improve the model for everyone, and you would turn it off. Or the other thing you could do is on ChatGPT, click on temporary chat and turn it on. And as you probably noticed, my chat box became black. So from this point forward, everything that I add or chat with ChatGPT is going to be private and not used to train the model. Now keep in mind that if you use the private chat, everything that all your entire exchange with the tool is going to disappear the moment you close this box. So if you go on a long thread and you're happy with the interaction, where you're happy with the outputs that you're producing, make sure to save it before you close it, because once you do, everything disappears. Perplexity has a similar feature where you can see here, if I click on my name, I have the option to go incognito. And if I do that, everything that's in here is not being used to train their model. Okay. Of course, there are more ways, once again, but I'm going to provide this slide to you. And if you're interested in setting your privacy further, you can follow these steps that are described on this slide. Very well. Let's move to resume optimization. So I have personally developed and tested all of the prompts that I'm going to present to you. And once again, I'm going to give you a condensed version of this presentation with all of the prompts. I'm not going to read them in detail, but I'd like for you to understand what you get from every one of them. And most importantly, the reason I tend to focus on prompts is because I believe that you have a well-designed prompt and you iterate with the AI, you are very likely going to obtain the very similar results to those you would get from subscribing for a paid tool that could do certain things like matching your job search and a role description. Okay, so you could potentially not just be saving from investing in those tools, but at the same time refining your ability to prompt more effectively. So this first one is really focused on how to optimize your resume in relation to a job description. And what I recommend here is to attach the resume and the role description to the LLM of your preference. LLM, folks, AI, or models like ChatGPT and Perplexity, Claude, Copilot, and on. So in case you do not have the role description handy, I would recommend providing the company name and title, because that makes the AI respond in a more tailored way, specifically to the role you're interested in, or specifically to your background. Okay, and without going too technical, there is a prompting framework that's called multi-step task decomposition. And it's an approach in which you break down complex, extensive tasks into smaller chunks, almost like building blocks, to help the AI stay focused and avoid hallucinations. So you're going to see that this entire set, for instance, has 6 steps. And when you receive it, my recommendation to you is that you go prompt by prompt to avoid that it hallucinates and stays on track on the specific goal for each of the prompts. Okay, so for instance, in this particular situation here, I'm asking the AI to evaluate my fit for a role, and then aligning the role's key requirements with my background, conduct a gap analysis of my resume against the role qualifications. Next, asking it to create a compelling personal statement, one that you can start a conversation with when interviewing, to communicate your value for the role. The next prompt would be how you could tailor the resume, your LinkedIn profile, and your cover letter. So you can imagine it's going to be quite a lengthy one, right? A lengthy output with the role's expectations. And next, how to ensure that cover letter effectively positions you as a strong candidate. And lastly, a warm message in case you have connections in the company you're applying for, a warm message to reach out to your connections with that employer. Okay? Any questions before we move to the next section?
Just assuming that based on what you said earlier, you do that one step at a time. So you enter the prop, wait for the results, and then say go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
Correct, Joffrey. And that is obviously you could go with all six at once, but what would happen is that naturally the AI will seek to satisfy all six questions, and the likelihood of the responses being a bit more superficial is great, or that it hallucinates, go in different directions. Now, if you go one by one, what you're doing is actually helping the AI stay focused on a given swim lane, and you go steering it throughout as in your interactions with it. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And that is, by the way, thank you for your question, very helpful. Continue with that approach as you go, because you are going to see that all of my prompts were developed with the multitask decomposition in mind. Because if you think about the full job search and application process, we are talking about an extensive journey where you have to prepare your resume, cover letter, certainly update the information there. Then you go through the company research information, the application process, the preparation, and then the reflection about whether, for instance, in relocation would be an option for you. Okay, so that's why this entire set of prompts that I'm going to present were developed leveraging the multitask decomposition framework. Thank you. It's a good call out. All right, so now that I talked about, oh, actually, one more thing. There are plenty of tools for resume optimization out there, so I'm not going to reference them. In particular, you could Google, and you're probably going to get hundreds of tools from Google alone. Okay, but if you were looking for a particular tool or interested in less familiar with tools for resume optimization, feel free to reach out. When it comes to effective company research and interview preparation, again, following that same prompting framework, I have prepared a few prompts for you, which again will work best if you attach your resume, the role description, okay, and then start prompting, iterating with the AI. So and it starts with, help me thoroughly prepare for an interview for the role attached. I want to be fully prepared and informed with comprehensive and up-to-date information about the company to successfully prepare for my interviews. Think about it for a moment. So you went through the process of updating your resume, matching it, developing the cover letter, and now somebody contacts you for a screening interview, for instance, or maybe you are already in the second or third stage of that interview process. right? You want to come across as someone who's well informed about the organization, who's well prepared, who did their homework, and I remember spending hours when applying for jobs just to uncover information that I could reference to demonstrate how well informed and how interested I was. So the intent of these prompts is really to illustrate that. And the first one is provide comprehensive and up to date. This teeny tiny word is very important. Up to date information about the company, including the year it was founded, ownership structure, where headquartered, and when their fiscal year closes. This last portion is interesting because I often get questions about, okay, why would I want to know when they close their fiscal year? And the answer is very simple. You need to know when financial planning occurs. If you're joining an organization right after they close that fiscal year, part of your interview process has to include questions like, okay, how is my role or my department going to be budgeted? Okay. It happened to me once where I joined immediately at the start of their new fiscal year. And as helpful and resourceful as my hiring manager was, she had not budgeted for all of the initiatives that she expected me to deliver on. So imagine that I had a full year operating on a shoestring and having to validate every one of my expenses because of that. Okay. So it's helpful information because it helps you craft and even negotiate your deliverables as through the process.
Nina,
The
I'm sorry, quick question for you.
Yeah.
With the AI tools, and I meant to ask this after the first initial session, but will the free version of these tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot do this work, or do we need to pay a monthly payment to do this work that we are talking about?
Lena, the majority of these large language models operate with a freemium model, meaning you will only go so far with the free version, and then it's going to tell you, Claude is well known for that. It's going to tell you, you exhausted all of your utilization limits, and you need to wait 4 hours to continue to use it. Or ChatGPT is going to say you reached your token limits through your free account, and now you have the option to upgrade to Pro, right? They're all like that. Part of the intention in crafting these prompts is also to help you optimize the way you interact with those LLMs, because we still have a tendency of interacting with these LLMs as we used to do with Google, for instance, right? We would get a sentence and ask a question, and then go with the next and not elaborate so much. So the intent here is to more effectively interact with the LLM. But if you are going with an extensive research like this one, you eventually will, and you don't want to be interrupted halfway through, you will eventually have to subscribe and go and opt for Pro services.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. All right, so I was talking about explaining this prompt, and I think I stopped here. So the second one is asking about significant events or milestones, also important for you to consider as you're interviewing with them. Insights about their leadership, very important. You want to know who you're going to be working with or reporting to. Workforce demographics, total headcount, presence, list any important changes in the last 3 years, and understand the culture and employee satisfaction and reputation of that organization. And next, you want to understand their financial health. Are you going to join a company that's struggling? Well, do it wide eyes open, right? So the intent of this set of prompts is really to understand how they are positioned, who their competitors are, what are the company's specific business lines or divisions, greatest business challenges, financial health over the past 3 years, and any planned investments, divestitures, strategic business priorities, any stated goals or visions for the years to come. Okay. And with all of that, you're certainly well equipped to make to ask intelligent questions, which is part of which I'm going to address in a couple of slides. There's another way you can educate yourself about the companies you're serving, especially if they're big about social media, and like in the case of Tesla, if they post this is a video of their shareholder meeting. Okay, I'm not gonna demonstrate that, but I'm gonna provide you the link. Bear with me just a sec. I'm going to give you the link to the video and show you. And show you what it is. So this was their last, I think they just had another one, but their last published annual shareholder meeting. And if you look here, it's a 2.5-hour video. Okay. So imagine if you're interviewing with Tesla, you could certainly watch spend 2.5 hours watching the entire video to be informed about what was discussed there. Or you could leverage Google Gemini and its integration with YouTube, post that same link to the video, and start interacting with Gemini through Gemini, interacting with the video. So you could ask Gemini things like, what did Elon Musk say about the Cybertruck? Or what are the hypothetical, what are the trends for the full service driving options? If self-driving cars reach full autonomy, how might that change transportation? Or if you're interviewing for a specific role, you could even ask how do the recommendations or the decisions about the Cybertruck, how could they impact the role I'm applying for? Okay, so several options here where you could be saving significant time and getting the intel, leveraging AI to without necessarily having to watch the whole video. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Lauren. So if you're seeing on the chat, Lauren is sharing that she usually gets through resume to at least one resume editing round with the advanced model of ChatGPT. Very well. All right, so continuing on interview preparation. Imagine that now you came at that phase where you're past the screening interview, and you're starting to actually talk to the hiring manager, to other stakeholders who will be involved in the decision of your hiring. Okay, so the prompt here now focuses on gather comprehensive insights about my interviewers to help me better understand their background, leadership styles, their priorities. And essentially, I'm asking details about their background and career trajectory, identify their leadership and communication style based on public interviews, articles, anything that's available online. Identify the areas of focus within the company, of their focus within the company. And then I'm asking the AI to help me tailor my interview approach, aligning my responses to their interests. Okay. Not just that, but in prompt 5, I'm asking if the AI can help. Obviously, this is based on public information, so they need to have posts and information out there. But then help me align the information that's available to then infer what could be their personality style so I can communicate more effectively. Okay. And then the final portion of this section is now recommend 20 strategic and tactical questions that I can ask this individual during my interview. And something that you could also do is actually go to LinkedIn, download the PDF version of these individuals' profiles and load it as you are providing or interacting with the AI using these prompts. That's going to make it even more tailored. Okay. I'm seeing some questions on the chat, some interaction. Was there any question about what I was just saying? Okay. Okay.
I had a question. Instead of downloading the PDF version, which I didn't know you could do, but is there not a way to put their LinkedIn, the link to their LinkedIn and tell AI to look at their profile?
Yes, you can. You
Okay.
can do that. It is possible too. Some LLMs do better or worse jobs reading from hyperlinks, but it's evolving so fast that I think it would be okay. But yes, you can. If you're on a premium version of LinkedIn, I'm not sure if the free version of LinkedIn would allow you to download the PDF. Jonathan, since you're you're very closely involved in career advisory, do you know if the free versions on LinkedIn allow you to download people's profile?
Yeah, the free version is plenty sufficient to ask about career trajectory for the person you're interviewing, get a little bit of sense of their interests, and prepare questions. And either use the hyperlink or just, copy and paste, literally just copy off the screen and paste it in. What I will tell you is that AI is robust enough, it sort of doesn't care what the data looks like. It's smart enough to figure out what you need to know from whatever you paste into it. By the way, not all sites, like Claude sometimes will not be able to look at external websites. So that's something else to be aware of.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you, because here's how you do it. I'm on a premium subscription with LinkedIn. So when I click on more, I could save Jonathan's profile to PDF. Okay, so right here, and there you have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've asked LinkedIn to help improve my profile. I'm doing it, I don't know, every couple of weeks I go in, load everything up and say, how can I make this better to do more of what I do and take the feedback I get.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And thank you. I know I put you on the spot, but I knew you would have the perfect answer. All right. So that's what we had for interview prep. And now we are shifting to data-driven insights for evaluating relocation opportunities. And I hear this again. And in fact, the other day, my heart was broken because I talked to this lady who had relocated to I from where her entire family lived. I forgot her original location to Dallas. And interestingly, she said, well, I moved my family to Dallas, my husband and children, leaving my entire family where we were, only to 12 months later have my job eliminated. And because as soon as I arrived, all I did was work. I did not develop local relations. And thankfully, in her case, Dallas is one of the best cities to live in. Is very active business wise, continues to grow. But imagine in a situation where you could potentially take the job of your dreams, relocate to another location where the market is not so active, and then find yourself without a job in a similar situation like her just 12 months later without knowing what to do. So the intent of this section here is really to reflect about compensation and cost of living differences between in your current location versus the targeted one before you make a decision. And obviously, so you can smartly negotiate that transition, okay, that move. So the prompt is, I'm researching compensation and cost of living differences for locations A and B. I want to ensure I'm using only credible sources, and I added a few ones here for ease. I want accurate and recent data. Please include sources and specify the time frame of salary reports. And then we are going to be discussing one by one again, continuing the same framework. What is the salary comparison? What is the company-specific pay data, if available? What is the cost of living comparison? What is the salary versus cost of living index? And then the job market trends overall. Okay, so that helps you and positions you to better negotiate through the conversations. Okay. Now we are moving to AI assisted interview coaching. And you can do this using tools like ChatGPT without having to pay for the many interesting tools that are out there. I'm going to show you one in just a minute. And the thought behind it is that you attach your resume and the role description. In this case, I'm going to use ChatGPT. You could do if you have another LLM or AI of your preference, you could try it there as well. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate using the voice mode to simulate an interview and to receive personalized feedback. I got this question just yesterday. Why do you use the voice mode on your mobile device instead of online? Because I could do it online as well. Well, if I'm doing it looking at the screen and I'm seeing ChatGPT write its responses and questions, I'm not exactly simulating an interview, am I? And if I am using my phone, there's no way I know ahead of time what the questions will be. Okay, so the prompt is, I want to practice interview questions for the attached role. Please act as the hiring manager for this position and ask me relevant questions based on the job description. After I respond to each question, provide detailed constructive feedback on my answers, highlighting both strengths and areas for improvement. Assess my content relevance, communication style, confidence, and clarity. Okay. Offer suggestions for how I can refine my responses to better align with the job description. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to disable this. So just for purposes of this simulation, I went ahead and uploaded a job description, my resume, and I asked ChatGPT to analyze the documents. And look at what it said. Analysis of this job description versus Nina's resume, overall fit, your background strongly aligns. So even if I hadn't asked it to analyze it, as soon as I attached the documents, it naturally looks at them and decodes the content, okay? And it gave me a few things like key matching areas, internal talent mobility, yada, yada. Then it gives me some areas of differentiation to add value, potential gaps, and whatnot. Okay, so it did that. But what I want to do is open the voice mode, and I'm going to go back to this page for a second to simulate an actual conversation. So this gives me the full experience of, for instance, having a phone interview, okay? And I'm going to do this, opening that same chat that I had already started. And I'm going to activate the voice mode on ChatGPT. I'm going to read the prompt that you're seeing on the screen. Okay. And not just that, I'm not going to give a great response to the questions that ChatGPT gives me, so you can appreciate the level of coaching that it's going to provide. Okay? Clear? So let's see how this works. Hi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Let me know how I can assist you.
I want to practice interview questions for the attached role. Act as a hiring manager for this position and ask me relevant questions based on the job description. And after I respond to each of your questions, provide detailed, constructive feedback highlighting both the strengths and areas for improvement. I also want you to assess my content relevance, communication style, confidence, and clarity. And I'd like you to offer suggestions for how I can refine my responses to better align with the job description. Okay?
Great. I'll act as the hiring manager for the Vice President Talent Management role at Thermo Fisher Scientific and ask relevant interview questions based on the job description. After each of your responses, I'll provide detailed, constructive feedback, assessing content relevance, communication style, confidence, and clarity, while offering suggestions for refinement. Let's begin with the first question. Question 1. This role requires developing and executing global talent strategies, particularly in areas such as new colleague immersion, internal talent mobility, and core talent processes. Can you share a specific example of how you've successfully designed and implemented a talent management strategy at a global scale? Go ahead with your response, and I'll evaluate it accordingly.
Well, I've had experience with several global organizations providing, designing talent strategies from ground up all the way to ensuring their adoption, looking for consistency in the data in our metrics, and ensuring.
It looks like your response got cut off. Feel free to complete your answer, and I'll provide feedback on content relevance, communication style, confidence, and clarity.
I'm going to pause for a second. Notice that you have to interview and act as if you were interviewing and speaking fairly fast, so the AI doesn't stop you in the middle, just like it happened. Okay, so I'm just gonna blab something so we continue the simulation. All right, so continuing my response, you were asking how I've developed talent strategies globally. So I've done it with multiple organizations like Jabil, Johnson Controls, from ground up, and ensuring consistency across geographies, establishing metrics, and ensuring robust succession plans.
Got it. I'll keep up the pace as if we're in a real-time interview. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate the breadth of your experience in global talent strategy. Let's refine your response a bit. You started strong by mentioning multiple organizations where you've built strategies from the ground up. However, I'd like to hear a more structured example, perhaps choosing one initiative and walking me through it step by step. For instance, what was the business challenge? What specific strategies did you design? And what were the measurable outcomes? Areas of strength, content relevance. You clearly have deep experience in global talent management. Confidence. You spoke assertively and conveyed leadership presence. Big picture thinking. You touched on consistency, metrics, and scalability, which align well with the role. Areas for improvement. Clarity and specificity. Your response would be stronger with a concrete example rather than broad statements. Structure a
So I'm stopping it, but I hope this gives you a good sense of how AI has evolved and how fantastic is this iteration. You could do this not just for interviews. Let's say, for instance, you're learning a new language. Yeah. And I can see a question there about setting it not to cut you off. Well, it happens, right? I was hesitating a bit because I was looking at you and thinking about my response to the question, I did not know what ChatGPT was going to ask me. So you kind of need to be on your toes to answer those questions, okay? But you could always ask, okay? And isn't it amazing? Yeah, I agree. I love it. So know that this is available to you, and it's a phenomenal way, once again, to be able to practice. Now, if you look at that thread, okay? If you look at that thread, it actually has some updates and final recommendations, and continues with the feedback. So it's saved if you want to revisit later, you can go back to the written one, to the online option, and see all of the feedback that ChatGPT is providing. And you could continue with questions and evolve with the conversation as you go. Okay? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Deb Johnny is asking if she if it would make sense to act as the hiring manager and ChatGPT as a candidate to hear the responses. Absolutely, and it's a great practice. Okay, the opposite. Jonathan, I thought I saw you unmute yourself. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, only to say that sometimes in the video and in the audio interactions, you don't always get a transcript. So it's a slightly different information gathering process. But early on, you were asking prompts and getting output. I will caution everyone, chat is chatty. You're going to get a lot of output. My recommendation is copy and paste it into a document, but at the heading for each section you paste, create a heading with a description of the information that's following, so you can create a table of contents at the beginning of what can be a long document to keep your responses organized, so to make it more useful. Just a heads up on managing the output of AI.
Thank you. Great point. All right, so I'm glad you enjoyed this option. And of course, there are several AI-based tools dedicated to interview practice, and these platforms offer a variety of resources, real-time feedback. Some even will even record you while interviewing with a virtual avatar, so you can rewatch your performance. It will give you even charts analyzing what the areas where you can improve. And there are two tools that I particularly recommend, which are Remasto and ACE, because they offer very generous features for free subscribers. And they're not only accessible, but you notice with the feedback the points for attention to improve upon in your interview. And these tools will not only help you prepare, but also build your confidence. And in particular, TalkBerry here was developed for folks whose first language is not English, so you can even practice. And it provides feedback about accent, cultural elements. I know that we have some folks from other countries participating today. And interestingly, the Remasto team heard about today's webinar, and they reached out offering with a special offer that I agreed to share with you. Please know that I have no personal gain from this. I'm just sharing because I thought it was interesting. As I mentioned to you, Remasto is free to try and it has its limitations. But what they are offering is a premium access to their premium features for a full month. Okay, so if you're interested in trying a little bit, and premium includes role-based interviews, meaning you would be able to upload the role you're interviewing for, and they would be 5, 15, or 30-minute interviews, feedback analytics, resume analyzer, company-specific interviews, resume-based interviews, and job descriptions. What you see in blue is the code that they provided, but there's one important point here, if you decide to check it out, remember that when you're registering with it, you don't do it online. You first create your registration, and then you have to email contact@Remasto, providing the code, because they'll manually upgrade you to premium. Okay. And this is their website, just so you know. So as you can see here, it's very much a virtual interview with an avatar. Okay. And they'll provide demographics. You can see the analytics of the interview right here, resume-based interviews and whatnot. So this gives you a good sense of what's available to you. Now, I want to talk briefly about other AI tools that will help boost your job search effectiveness. And the one that's less known is Browse AI. Okay, let me show you the site directly. So Browse AI actually was actually developed for people interested in creating chatbots. For those of you who know how to do it, this could be an option. But they do have something interesting, which is browse pre-built robots, okay? And if you get to browse pre-built robots, you are going to see that they have a few ones that are quite interesting for job seekers. So for instance, this one will allow you to extract job listing information from LinkedIn. There's this one to extract job listings from Indeed, Monster, Glassdoor, Upwork. You get the idea, right? There are several job posting platforms that are here, and bots dedicated to them. And what you get open the file. Is a file that looks like this. It's a CSV file, and at a first glance, you might say, what is this? So I edited a little bit to make it more readable, okay? And look at the information. In my opinion, I think it's very valuable. So my parameters were Vice President Talent Development, okay? Or Vice President HR. So it gives me titles, the LinkedIn, this is their bot just for LinkedIn job extraction, by the way. It gives me the link to the post, so I can go back there and apply if I see that it's a fit. Company location, the status, seniority level, job function. You might say, well, I get all of this if I sign up for those job alerts, or if I'm browsing through LinkedIn. Absolutely, you are. But if you're signing up for job alerts, your inbox is probably populated with about 10, 20 different job alerts every day. That's one. The second thing is you would have to go job by job to get a sense of what's available. And this is a comprehensive roster of everything that meets the parameters that are important to you. But what I like the most about this option is that it gives you when this job was posted. Okay, so you get a digest of how fresh each of the jobs is. So for instance, if this job here was posted 5 months ago, does it even make sense for me to invest the time to tailor my resume, spend time applying for it, even if I'm interested? Maybe, maybe not, right? But if I'm seeing this other position here that was posted just 12 hours ago, well, that's the first that I'm going to go and apply for, right? So, and quite frankly, I no longer, yes, Pete, I no longer subscribe for all of those job alerts, what I do is every once in a while, go download this from you leveraging the bots that are available through Browse AI, and then decide what I'm going to do. Okay, so that's one. Another tool that I wanted to share with you is Dex. So that if you're looking for ways to manage your network more strategically, and again, folks, this is a tool that in itself is going to require some work, okay? But I see time and again, people send you connection invites and say, if there's anybody in my network who you might be interested in connecting with, I'm happy to make an introduction or whatnot. Or you make a decision to reconnect with cold connections, to get back in touch, and you forget their birthdays, or you forget where they are located. I mean, the day continues to have 24 hours, and sometimes the connections that aren't so deep are the ones that you might be forgetting. So what Dex does is actually serve as a personal CRM for you. You download your LinkedIn connections from the LinkedIn site, upload the information here, and then you start managing all of those relations just like you would in a commercial CRM, okay? And I'm going to play this video for just a second.
Welcome to Dex. If you're like us, you meet a lot of interesting people, but who are you actually going to stay in touch with? It's impossible to remember everyone, and that's why we built Dex, a personal relationship manager that makes it easy to stay in touch and remember important details. Dex is a private home for all your people. It combines your LinkedIn, Facebook, calendar, and phone book to give you one place for all your contacts. You can even see when someone updates their title from LinkedIn. Adding to Dex is easy. With our browser extension, add a new person with just one click. Never forget to stay in touch. Dex lets you know when it's time to reach out, from birthdays to reminders to reconnect. And Dex empowers you to strengthen relationships. Search can surface anyone you've met or anything you've talked about. Saved filters and groups can help you find your connections who work in product, design, or who are about to start their next company. And if you're traveling, the Dex map view can show you where your friends and network are located, so you can reach out the next time you're in town. Dex is so much more: a people-centered notebook, to-do list, even an AI assistant. But what can Dex do for you? Find out and get started at getdex.com.
And again, I'm sharing just for your information. I have no personal gain, just demoing these tools, okay? But I've had people ask me, I've been managing my relations. I have this phenomenal Excel where I track everybody I spoke to, and then I go and I earmark, set alerts, reminding me to get back in touch 2 or 3 months later. You can automate all of that, okay? Yeah, it is indeed quite an interesting tool. Thank you. I have one more. Bear with me just a sec. Pulling up the slide here. There you go. So Happenstance is another tool that's slightly different in that what it does. I was mentioning that we connect with people, and then we tell them, hey, if you're interested in connecting with someone, just browse through my network and let me know, right? So the difference here is that Happenstance allows you to share connections with up to 10 trusted connections that you have. So let's say 10 of us in this group here were our friends, trust each other, and are happy to share their connections openly in a platform like this. So what you would do, all 10 of us would load our connections into Happenstance. And now we are browsing. So let's say I wanted a position in, I'm seeking opportunities in Dallas, Texas. I could just seek by geography, or I could look up by company. And that will give me instant visibility across my 10 trusted connections in a way that I can then go and say, hey, Judy, I noticed that you're connected to so-and-so. Would you be willing to introduce me? Or, Judy, I'm going to connect to reach out to this person. Can I tell them that I'm connecting and we have you as a shared connection? Okay, so it brings a bit more efficiency than you having to browse through your vast number of connections one by one, but narrowing your circle to up to 10 people who you trust and who are able and willing to share those introductions. Okay, so potentially making your networking process more effective. Okay, one sec. Now, I want to talk about, I left this for last because it's something that's as swarming job applications, ATSs, and whatnot. There are tools out there that actually, once you create your profile, you add your resume, and set your preferences, they actually do the whole application process for you, meaning they tailor the resume, they create a cover letter, and they apply for you. They apply on your behalf, okay? And as you can see from the list, the number of tools that do this are growing. This is Job Hire, for instance. And if you visit their site, you will see that they explain the process here. So first, you upload your resume, you specify your parameters, you add your resume, and the AI will optimize it for you. Okay. It's going to automatically create the emails for you. It's going to create cover letters and then start applying for vacancies directly on the platforms. Okay. Not just that, it's going to track responses and notifications. Okay. These are paid tools that automate the process. And let me share a link with you. Actually, I'm going to post 2 links. Okay. So the first one, interestingly, is someone who got expelled from LinkedIn because he applied for 3,000 jobs at once using one such services. Okay. So obviously, you need to be criterious if you're using one such tool. There are ways, for instance, where you stay in control every step of the way. You're able to determine after you scope. You're able to determine which jobs you would like to apply for. It's going to present you a list. You select which ones before it automates and it goes ahead and presents your application. But it's what's most important, in my opinion, about awareness of these tools is that this is what we are all up against. If you're in the job market searching, you might and get it from the perspective of the recruiter as well, right? They are being bombarded by applications that have been automated that they don't even know if candidates are indeed a good match, even though the resumes that are being presented could be 100% match because it was optimized, okay? So it becomes quite tricky from both your perspective as a candidate in the market, as well as from the recruiter's perspective to analyze everything at the swarm of applications that they are receiving to understand who is indeed a solid candidate. But awareness that this exists and people are using it is very important, okay? And the second link that I provided it sounds quite interesting too, because essentially Anthropic, the company that created Claude, is asking candidates to please not use AI. How's that? Right? Because imagine they're talked about, they're growing and certainly getting a lot of candidate attention. I bet you people are applying left and right using AI because they want to make sure that they are a good fit for the roles that are being posted. Okay? So action, reaction, and where is that balance? Okay? Which brings me to the human element of the entire process. Okay? What you're looking at is the list of competencies that the Forbes Business Development Council has published last September. The council is an invitation-only global community with senior and very high-level executives who come together to talk about trends in the world of business. And when they published this, these were intended to be the 20 most critical leadership skills in the age of AI. Now, interestingly, look at the 20. Only 3 in this list, 3 are related to AI. Okay? Knowledge of when to apply AI, great. Understanding of how AI can complement human skills, absolutely, right? Data interpretation, we know that it can. All else is behavioral. All else are soft skills. So my conclusion as I read this is that we are kind of at the dawn of transformation, where there's this entire hype of AI. Yes, indeed, transforming jobs. Yes, indeed, creating turmoil in the job market. And we're going through the motions of seeing organizations, jobs, and professionals transform all along. Okay. Now, when it comes to leadership skills, AI is important. Yes, it is, but it's not the only component. And I think that all of the other ones you see there are going to be even more important in the age of AI, especially if you're in job search mode. Okay. So I created this video using AI, using Sora, just so you know. But just to illustrate that timeless principle of having a savings account so you can cash out is even more important today than ever. Okay. Relationships, networking, especially now when people are overwhelmed and certainly inundated with connection requests, introduction requests, and whatnot, becomes an asset and even more important. So think about it for a moment. If you're a hiring manager and somebody comes here referred by Judy, who is someone you know and trust, whose competence and leadership you know are solid. If someone comes through Judy, referred through Judy, versus this resume that was presented and is a perfect match, completely optimized resume of a stranger, who are you going to go with? Without a doubt, right? So that's where having those relationships in place are so important. And I will tell you, my personal experience has been a little bit disappointing in situations where I have made introductions, shared some leads, and I wouldn't even get a thank you note afterward. Or that I would connect people who, in my opinion, are great assets in my network. And then later on, that the person I introduced would come to me and say, Nina, you introduced me to person X. They never even reached out. Or I recommended them to position to this given position here, and crickets, right? So mind the development of the relationship, because that's what's really going to make the difference. Again, this is the Nina opinion, but what's really going to make a difference in the way we interact with others. Okay. So with that, I think we have 4 minutes for Q&A. And I invite you to, since we have quite a good group here, I invite you to raise your hands.
Hey, Nina, I'll just add one thing. Super great content. Thank you. I learned a good bit for myself. One thing I would add is the automation of either the job listings from LinkedIn, the scraping, or the applications, I think are worth exploring if you find that there are way too many job openings and you can't keep up. For some of us, that's not the problem. And then I would say you need to go a more personal route and you need to spend time focusing on your networking and your messaging and those types of things. So it just depends on what type of role you're looking for, and the availability and the volume of those roles would make a big difference.
100%. And thank you for sharing your perspective. And folks, Nanette Nan is a leader in talent acquisition who has done phenomenal work helping executives and leaders at all levels find their dream roles. Any questions, any other comments? Yes, Teresa, I'm going to share a condensed version of the slides. Thank you, Ina. Any other insights, folks? Because I don't know it all. I prepared this to share what I know, and obviously there's a very senior and extremely experienced group, not just of candidates, but executives in this world.
Hey, Nina, this is Pete. Thank you so much
Hey,
for
Pete.
presenting. This has been so super helpful. One of the things I just wanted to kind of ask is how often do you share this type of content? How often do you do updates? How often are you meeting in general? Do you have a group out there where we can join your group just to kind of be, ahead of the curve on some of this stuff? Because I know a lot of us are either working or looking for jobs, such as myself. And it just, like you said, everybody's busy, pulled in different directions. It's also nice to kind of have a support group on this stuff, as the stuff is constantly evolving and moving 100 miles an hour. So just kind of, I'm going to stop right there. So maybe open it up to the group.
Of course, Pete. I have been presenting this deck as it evolves because AI continues to evolve to certain networking groups, but I don't have my own. Jonathan has one. I know that some of the participants in this call are members of other networking groups. So if anybody knows or would like to recommend a networking group, if you wouldn't mind sharing on either unmuting yourselves or sharing on the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, in fact, in my networking groups, one of the first questions I'll ask everyone that shows up is what other great networking groups do they belong to? And for what it's worth, everything Nina went through today works. I'm using it. A lot of my clients happen to be partners in consulting, and they're all sort of stunned when they think about using AI for themselves. But this stuff actually works. It's not as easy as it sometimes seems, and the weeds get thick really quick. So it helps to have an advocate to help you through it.
Yeah, and Pete, just to complement, my intention in offering this is really to help. I'm seeing phenomenal leaders out in the market, and I cannot believe they are in the market. But the world of business is the way it is, and it's a bit upside down now. So my intent is to help job seekers. But the only reason I didn't offer this session completely free is because I noticed that sometimes you do this and people don't show up. Something comes up and they don't show up. So I thought, I'm going to charge a symbolic fee, and I'm going to use that to donate the proceeds for another good cause. So I will present this again. I just don't have a date just yet.
Thank you, Nina.
Welcome. Oh, thank you, Judy. Yes, Never Search Alone. That's a free group to join. That could also work. Any other questions? Because I know we're at time.
Hi, Nina. I'm Wendy. I am one of your students from the intellectual business class. So I have a question. So since you were mentioning about the resume building, So my questions is there a specific resume format required for ATS? Because I created my resume by using Canva, and I'm concerned that the format might not be ATS friendly.
100%. I would not create it on Canva. In fact, I was talking to an expert recruiter. I'm talking about somebody who's been in the market for 30 years, but maybe Nan could also advise. And his comment was very specific in that you don't want to add images, graphics, anything that could, the ATS is, think about an old-fashioned system that's only processing the words that are in your resume. So you want to make it simple, but you also want to make it very easily readable. Having too long sentences, too small fonts, or even fonts that aren't so easily readable would play against your odds of being even noticed or passing through the ATS filter. Nan, anything you would want to?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I would say more of a focus on text and even a keyword component, right? So when you go through the optimization perspective, AI will probably recommend to you some keywords, or it'll include them in the content that it provides, because even prior to AI, a lot of ATSs relied on keywords in order to do kind of a stack ranking of saying, okay, well, how good of a fit is Wendy's resume for this role? So, but definitely stay away from the creative aspect. I would say for anybody that is creative, if you do want to have a more visually appealing resume that reflects a creative field, then do that on your portfolio, not in your application.
Got it. Thank you so much.
And Wendy, you could ask the AI too for advice, just so you know.
Okay, thanks.
All right, folks, thank you so much for participating, for your contributions, and for helping the cause. So I wish you a wonderful rest of your Valentine's Day, and I'm particularly appreciative that decided to invest your part of your Valentine's Day with me.
Wonderful.
Have a great,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.